just for you. You know, you reference a movie. In that movie, there are many characters. Those people were not like that in real life. That was the movie. So many of us try to live like we are in a movie. We try to portray a character, but in private, then a real character comes up, right? Comes up, shows up. And when you were talking, you triggered a word in my mind, character. And I asked myself the question, do I know myself? Do I really know myself? Because I have spent so much time trying to fool you, showing you who I am not, that I no longer know who I am. Right? And as a result of that, I don't accept myself, right? I don't love myself, and I don't care for myself. And that leads to the others. I will never care for you, Steve, if I don't know myself. It's impossible.
You could go into a whole biblical sermon right now on this topic. If I said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you my really, really good friend, a man that I just love and respect. and I want to tell you that this man has left Boston, Massachusetts area, and he outgrew the community. He knew that the Lord had picked him to do things that were larger than just stay in that one community. And he has traveled all the way to Texas, and his mission down there is to learn much that is there for him to learn from the people that are some of the most acclaimed spiritual leaders of our time. He's going to be down there meeting some of the great pastors in our country, and he is going to be around them and to learn them, because he recognizes that he himself, he has a gift that the Lord has given him. And I always come the last week back to the parable of the talents. You know, that is so simple to just hone right in on it. If a person does not know himself enough to know some of the things that he should be doing to use the gifts that the Lord has. For example, the guy had 5 talents, and he put them to work, and he gave 10 to the master. The other guy had 2, and he gave 4 back to the master. But the other guy, you feel somewhat sorry for him, because he might have been a really, really good person that was just kind of like low self-esteem, kind of shy, no confidence in himself. But I want to tell you this, and this is just a little assertion. The man that got reprimanded by the master because he buried the 1 talent and didn't do anything with it because he was afraid to lose it for the master. The master had entrusted that 1 talent with him, and he was so weak in his own mind for who he was and what he could do that he said, I respect my master, and I don't want to lose his talent. When he gets back, I'm going to put it away so that whatever else happens, he's going to still have that 1 talent. Well, you know, that's kind of a nice thought. That was a nice thought. He said, I don't want to squander it. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to do the wrong thing. But the point was very simple. The master said, you didn't do anything with what you had been given. And so here's my point, though. I have a place, a calling, that type of a personality that has not done the right things much with which they have been given, where they have misused whatever they have. They've gotten themselves in trouble. They've sat on the chair too long. They haven't gotten out of the boat yet. People that are struggling with themselves, and they don't have to just be incarcerated people that have made bad mistakes. No, all of us, including myself, all of us that have wasted some of our time and the talents that we've been given. I want to be there so that I can get to know people in a way that I help them love themselves. And then once they start to love themselves and they start to not kick themselves. The other words that I've written down through all this in Lefford's stuff, when you got to know yourself, to thine own self be true, is Shakespeare, I believe. But the thing with that is, that's kind of true. But let me tell you, if you are an uneducated person who has too much ego and too much self-confidence, and you think you're right all the time, and you're not learning new things, and you haven't submitted yourself yet to the authority of the Lord or to others that are teachers, that are well-respected people, then you are holding yourself back. The guy that had the 1 talent, the guy with the 1 talent, he's got a lot of potential, but he has got low self-esteem. I'm looking at the diagram in my mind right now. That guy has so much potential that he's not tapping into. Why? Because he doesn't trust himself. He doesn't trust others to learn from. He's confused, and therefore he's just not doing much with his life. And you know what he's going to be doing? He's going to be playing ping pong with himself for the rest of his life until he meets some people that he can respect and trust.
Very quickly on that, Steve, did you know if you were to translate one talent to today's money, we're talking about roughly $1 million.
Yeah, it's been a couple thousand years since it happened.
So it is not like he'd have no money at all or no talent at all. Like when what he had was not the same amount as the 5 and 2, right? But he had a substantial amount of resources.
You know, I want to say one thing. In today's world, if we take 3 people, we take a person that's very well educated, knew his opportunity that he was going to be having because of his education, and he knew that while he was in college, he was working toward a long-term life plan. I was much like that. I've shared it before. You know, when I was in college, I knew I was going to be an accountant. I mean, I went to college to be an accountant, and I knew that I was going to have good success. I had success as I started college. I came into it knowing that I had a bright future in front of me. So I played around too much. I played around too much because I said, well, when I get my career going, I'm going to be like the typical profile. I'm going to be married with kids and have a career job, but I'm not going to have much time. I'll get 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks vacation maybe, but I'm going to be kind of geared toward a label and a lifestyle. And so I said, but I don't want to be like that. I want to learn what I'm going to learn to be able to help change the world. And I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. But then the conflict was, well, but there's not any money in that. And so I can be a good do-gooder without money. What I want to tell you is this. We take another person that did not seek education, that was a good, honest, hardworking person that they went into the construction world, but they never developed the skill. I'll give you a quick example that comes to mind. I've used this many, many times, and I haven't thought of it in a couple of years, but I'm glad that I remember it now. If you're going to be working 8 or 10 hours a day to support your family and make money, you should maximize your earning potential, because here's the best example. A guy is on a construction site, and he is a brick mason making $65 an hour. And when he was young, he was a laborer, and he toted the mortar and the brick and put it on the scaffolding for the man that's up there. So you get these high school dropouts or people that don't pursue education that are good, honest people. I'll paint their picture that they're respectful. They go to church. But they never got an education, but they never got shown how to be more than what they thought they could be. And so this particular person that I'm telling you, he becomes a laborer on a construction site, and he totes the mortar. And he takes it up there, and he's got a wheelbarrow, and he's up on scaffolding, and he takes it down, and there's this guy that's about 46 years old, and he's sitting on a bucket upside down, and he's got a pile of brick, and he's got a pile of a block or brick, and he's got buckets of mortar, and he's sitting there with his lunch pail, and he's taking a break for 15 minutes up there, 3rd story scaffolding, eating his lunch out of his pail. And he turns to the laborer and he says, hey, hurry up. I'm going to be running out of block in about another half hour, and we don't want to slow this job down. So hurry up and get down there and bring me up a couple more loads of block. And the guy gets kind of like, okay. So he goes down and he fills up the wheelbarrow and he hoists it up to the top in the buckets and whatever. But here's the thing. That guy's making $9 an hour. And at the end of the day, he's made 8 times 9, $72. The guy that's making $65 an hour, he's made over $500. And so, but at the end of the day, the guy that only made, $72, he goes out to fast food and drinks a couple beers and starts another day tomorrow. And the guy that made $500, he goes home and he's got a house, and he's got a family, and he's got a savings account, and he's got good hygiene. You know, he's got a good lifestyle. But here's the question. If you're gonna want to have things later in life, you got to think about them now. But if your mind is such that you don't have any belief in yourself, you don't know yourself, and all that one guy needed to do, that's the $9 an hour labor, he needed to stop and think and respect the man that had made something with his life and ask him to tell me a little bit about how you got to where you are and start to develop a mental picture of what success might look like. And so, you know, and he's going to feel so much better about himself, because I'll tell you one truth in life. If you're struggling for money and can't pay your bills and you're under constant pressure, you're not going to feel real good about yourself. But if you know
Absolutely
that,
not.
No, and that's what I center in. That's my claim to fame, by the way, is that that's where I get in on people that are having a struggle. I just say, hey, let's get on top of that one aspect of your life so that you can at least see what you can be and develop your potential and get a plan and go there and be successful in what you want. But I've started off with the talents, and I'm going to finish it really quick and throw it back at you. If a person is making $35,000 a year and they're 35 years old, and another person got a lot more education and got into the business world or whatever the deal is, and they're also 35, but they're making $135,000 a year as a professional. I'm going to tell you this right now. I have no more respect whatsoever because of the material wealth that other person has got over the person who's not got it. I'm looking at this. Is the person that's making the $35,000, is he honest? Is he fearful of the Lord? Does he respect other people? Or is he the $135,000 guy who's stepping on people's backs to get to the top, and he's lying and cheating, and he's not home with his kids? The point is this: your economic circumstances do not define who you are, but the one thing that I'm suggesting is that as long as you have a peace and contentment and integrity, and the word that you brought, it's called character. If you've got character, it's not about your money, it's not about your income. But if you're troubled by your lack of income and it's causing you to feel low about yourself, then figure that one out. Better yourself. Do something about it. Because ultimately what we want to do is find a place in this world where we feel close to the Lord, good about ourselves, and are in a position to love and help other people.
Absolutely. And Steve, you know, we have different, you know, when we think about character, and we're talking about here love, right? Loving ourselves. That's the center of our conversation. But the thing is, love covers so much that we can go in any direction. And I cannot love myself, or I will never love you as a friend or as a human being if I do not have character, right? And if you're talking about this example, the person making a certain amount of money over another person, what's going on in your life that is preventing you from going forward and doing, you know, bigger and better things? And this leads to the word hidden, right? I was giving an example. I was having a conversation, or I think I was teaching something. I do masterminds online and with group of people, and I think I was teaching a group of people about the fact that when you're trying to hide something, right? When you are trying to hide something, you are as stuck as the secret that you are trying to hide, right? You are as stuck as the secret that you are trying to hide. What does that mean? Well, I in a very corny way, but I said it this way. Think of a hand, of a hand, right? Like a chicken in a hand, right? When the hand is warming the egg, right? It cannot leave the nest. It's hiding the eggs right there under. It's hiding.
My first interruption of the day. that is a mental image that I was building as you spoke. That was beautiful.